Morning, guys. It's early. It's about 7 o'clock. I'm redoing this video for. It's been a few times, had some technical difficulties, but I think I've finally figured this out. Okay? So, this is going to be a quick one, just talking about the second part of reflecting. Okay? So, when we looked at the first video, weather forecast. Yesterday it snowed. I can't believe it. Today it looks like it's going to be about 5, 6 sunny, so maybe a nice day to get outside and do something. Not sure, at least in your backyard. Be safe. Okay, so we looked at. I've just got a shape here to show us kind of what we were doing. So let me zoom this in a bit. Okay, so we were doing some reflection before. We reflect across the y-axis, and we've got that reflection, and it ends up looking like that. We've reflected. Okay. If we're going to reflect across the x-axis, let's say we've got our right angle triangle like this, and then we would reflect it, and it would end up looking like that. Okay, so there's our reflection. But what if we do if the shape is in two quadrants? Okay, so that's really the question that we want to ask today. And I guess there's really no difference. It's just I guess the the distance that this shape is actually going to travel is not that far. Okay, so have a look at this. I think it's probably less words and it's easier to see visually what's happening. Okay, so if this right here, if we see that this vertice down here is over 2 on the x-axis, okay, when we go to reflect it, we're going to see the same thing except on the other side, 2. Okay, so it actually, that line in the middle, okay, this axis point, that line in the middle of the shape is going to stay there. It's just we're actually going to have to reflect that shape. So let's look at that again. So when we have this shape right here and we want to reflect it, we're still going to do the same thing. We're going to pick it up, we're going to move it, we're going to reflect it, but it's going to look like that. Okay, so the same distance that one vertex is on the other side of the axis, when we move it over to the other side, we see the same thing. That's confusing, but let's put in the points. Let's kind of draw it out and see if it makes more sense. Okay, so let's say the shape is right there. Okay, so let's just look at this. So let's say I'm going to plot that point. Try to get the shape fairly accurate. Plot that point, plot that point. Okay, let's get rid of this guy. Okay, so here is our right angle triangle, our pre-image. Actually, it might be handy to have two different color pencils for this, right? Because the lines are going to be over each other. It can get a little messy, so probably not a bad idea just to have that. Okay, so A, B, and C. All right, so let's look at A here. So A is over into this quadrant, into the -2. Okay, so if we're going to reflect that over across here, if it's -2 here, it's got to go -2 over here. Okay, so if we're going to go da da, then we're going to go da da. So we're going to move that over there. So I'm just going to put this in A1. Now look at B. If B is over 2, it's -2, so it's over 2 on this side, it's got to go over 2 here. So we're going to go 1, 2, so let's move it over 1, 2. So there's B. B1. Now here's C. So C is over 1, 2, 3. So now let's move that over. So if it's 3 over to this side, it's got to go 3 over to this side. Okay? Remember, that shape is reflecting like this. It's not so much reflecting like that. It's reflecting kind of on top of itself. So 1, 2, 3. So we're going to go from the from the y-axis. We're going to go 1, 2, 3. There is our new There's our new C point, okay? So if we go to actually link up the lines here. We end up with that. Okay, so you can see how that kind of makes like a really cool geometric shape here, but what we can see is that, you know, that's actually, it's actually was like this, and it's been reflected like that. Okay, so it's been reflected across the y-axis, and that's how it works when it's in multiple quadrants here. Okay, so just to kind of go over the steps here, right? So first thing you want to do when you're doing this kind of reflection, if you want to cut out a shape and have that example, I think it helps for me. So you would plug in your coordinates, make sure that's your pre-image, your object, and then remember that whatever it is on one side, okay, it's going to go on the other side. So if you look at, you know, A here was 1, 2, negative. Well, you know, if it's -2, you know, units of the grid paper, it's got to go on the other side too. Okay, so you've got the 1, 2, it's -2. It's like an equation. Come over here, 1, 2, that's going to be +2, and that's how you get your A prime. Okay, again, it gets confusing because the lines are intersecting, but for C, remember C was 1, 2, 3. To get to that point, to that vertice, well, then you have to go, if it's +3, you got to go -3. 1, 2, 3. That's how we get it there. So we see the reflection. It's like reflecting on top of each other. Okay. Okay, we're doing 7:03. All right. That's not the time. That's the time of the video. Okay. So let's look at something here. Okay. So I'm gonna put, let's say we've got this right here. Okay. So I got this point, this point, this point. Okay, so let's call this example A, and this is going to be example B. All right, so I've got right angle triangle, okay. A lot of times, maybe not a lot of times, but there could be a situation where you have to reflect not over the y-axis or over the x-axis, but you actually have to reflect over an arbitrary line of reflection. Okay, so let's say that there was a line of reflection put in here. Okay, so now there's like a line of reflection below here. My grid is not long enough. I'm going to have to make it a little bit longer, but what we have here is, look at this line of reflection. This line of reflection is at y-axis 0, okay, and it's at x-axis, or sorry, y-axis -9, y-axis 0, okay? So this one right here. So the same thing, all right? Let's say this was A, B, C, okay? When you reflect over this line here, it's the same thing with doing an x or y axis. You would just count. So this is 1, so that's going to go there. So that's going to be A prime. So B is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's your B prime. And then this one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay? So now we've got our image. Let's just do that, C prime. And there's our reflected image. Okay, so what are we at? 9:57. Okay, got to keep them under 12 minutes. Going back. So this is how we reflect if the shape is in two different quadrants, okay? So the same thing, wherever the point is, wherever the vertex is, whatever side or whatever quadrant it's in, you just go to the opposite one here, depending if it's y or x axis, and count it over. Use that counting method and make sure the equation, it's kind of balanced there, right? And then you can see the example here. When you have an arbitrary line of reflection, okay, I may put one in at some point on a quiz, if we ever have one of those again, where you would have to reflect on this perforated line of reflection. We'll just kind of write that in. Line of reflection. Okay, so there you go. All right, I'm going to stop it here. I am going to, I believe, post an assignment today. Okay. So have a look at the video. Make sure that you're viewing all the videos, taking a look at it, getting down the notes, getting down all the important information. Okay. So the next one's going to be on rotation. That's more involved. That's going to be a couple of lessons as well. Maybe Friday, maybe Monday. Not sure. We'll see how we do with this, and then we'll get the assignment out to you guys today. Okay. Have a great day, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.